Our previous videos have been about creating shapefiles and digitizing information from the images. Now this part of the exercise is where you're taking layers that were given to you and making corrections, that is, fixing or editing layers which have errors in them. And the steps to do this are adding the layers that you're given for this process, and they're in the Lab 3 directory, and they're the boat docks, the houses, and the islands in the river. And we'll open all three of those. We can do that all three at once. And when they're open, we're going to zoom to that area. And they're down in this lower center area of the image, and it's important you zoom in to see them so you can get into the right place. And I'm going to zoom a little further in here, and you can see that the houses are red dots that were improperly positioned, and we're going to need to edit these and move them to the correct location. Now, how you go about doing this is we're using a combination of an editing function, and we want to make sure that the toggle for the houses is toggled on, so the editing is turned on, and that we're going to be using this select by rectangle to select the individual house that we want to move. So we turn it yellow by selecting it. Then we use the move feature icon to pick that house dot up and put it on the roof of the house. So the routine is select with the rectangle. When it's yellow, use the move, and then move to the top of the house. And you repeat this for all the other houses. Move the dots on top of the house. So I'll do one more here in the example. So I have to select that the house, make it yellow, use the move, and then when I move it to the top of the house, it's in the right place. Now you're going to want to also make sure you're saving your work, and then you toggle your editings off. Now for the docks, we're going to need to zoom in on the dock area down here, and I'm going to change the color of the docks so that we could see them a little better. So I'll double click on the icon for the dock color, and I'm going to change that to a magenta color or something that we can see, and maybe make that a little bit wider so you could see it a little bit better. So now we're going to try and fix this. And this dock goes too far, it goes into the water. This dock up here is not connected. So we'll have to select the boat docks layer, toggle the editing on, and now we're going to have to work with a series of options here. Probably the easiest would be this vertex editing, the node tool, and I'm going to select the node tool and select this. And now this node I'm going to click on, it's blue, and I can pull it back, or I can push delete, and it moves back to the point that was on the dock. Now if there wasn't one, I could have pulled it back. Now over this one, I'm going to use that vertex tool again. So in this case, I'm going to take the vertex and bring it up to the other vertex. Now I've got a problem here. Now before I do that, let's talk about snapping. Because what we should do is we should have this snap to that. The correction over here was just a removal, but here we have to have the snapping in place. So we want to remember to have snapping. So settings, snapping options, and change it to snapping on the boat docks. So we're saying apply, OK. And now I'm going to take this vertice and snap it to the neighboring one, and then double click in the middle 2 times, OK? And then use the moving of the vertices to move it so that the proper shape of the dock is represented. And now I can toggle it to save, finish that, move to a different cursor, and it saves my work. Then I can save selected layers. So that's the boat docks. Now correcting the islands in the river, we're going to need to move to the islands in the river. So let's select the islands in the river layer and right click and zoom to that layer. Now the islands in the river need to be corrected, so that the first step would be to take the the simple fill, and let's make this an outline color. So we're going to change this to either be transparent, which one would be one idea, or to make it a different sort of color. Probably the easiest choice would be to pick corners, and let's see what this looks like, so we could see, because we're trying to see through to understand what's happening. Okay, so that's not, oops, fields. We want to go islands in the river, and we want to have to just talk about a no brush option. So we just have the outlines, and maybe these outlines we could see a little better if we had the outline color established, and maybe we changed them to a magenta color. That might help. No, that's not helping much. So what we're going to do is we're going to change the border color. If we've got a simple fill, we're going to change to no brush, and the fill color doesn't matter, but it's our border we need to change to the magenta. And our border now should be clearer. Okay, so now we can see them. Now we're going to have to go through some of the steps we talked about before about editing. So we're going to select the islands in the river, toggle the editing, and we want to start cutting or deleting or removing. So the first obvious one would be this island is totally incorrect, so we're going to select this one. So we'll select that, and we can push the delete button and remove it. Now this one needs to be subdivided, so we're going to select this polygon, and we're going to subdivide it, and it might be easiest actually if we don't need to select it, we can see it. So we're going to cut it apart here with the cut tool from the outside to the outside, and right click. So now we've cut it. So now I'm going to outside to the outside and cut, and then outside to outside and cut. And now I can go about selecting that center feature and select it, and now I can remove it with the delete selected, or I could use the delete button, the delete key on the keyboard. Now it might be logical for us to select and to modify our vertices. So I'm going to modify the vertices here, and I've got vertices that I can turn blue and bring in, and bring in, and turn blue and bring in. And this one, perhaps I'll turn this one blue, and I'll just delete it. And this one up here, I could make that one blue with a left click and delete it. So the same process for editing these and splitting apart. And sometimes when it's very confusing, you might want to delete and just retrace it in if it's too confusing. But that should give you an idea of how to process the houses and the boat docks and the islands in the river.